Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Am I clear? Right at the end. Right. I'm acutely aware that you've just had lunch, and some would describe this as the graveyard session when everybody goes to sleep. Right. But having said that, I'll be talking to you about what are the key competencies that an HR professional today requires so that we don't become dinosaurs. What does it take to make it big in human resources? Since I'm a human resource professional, I do apologize to the other specialities such as marketing and finance, but because I will be talking for the next 15-20 minutes on what is HR and effectively what are the competencies, what is the set of competencies that an HR professional must have to deliver and face up to business challenges in the next 2 decades. You're fairly lucky because when I was at your age and stage, we never had a blueprint, we never had a competency framework to talk about. We didn't know what really we need to do and deliver to be successful in HR as an HR professional. But today, business leaders, increasingly recognize the importance of human capital, that's talent, organizational capability, which is culture, and leadership in assuring business success. And in a constantly changing world, I think there's never been a more important time for HR and HR professionals to step up to the plate. Since 1987, and it's been 25 years and counting, 2 professors, Professor Dave Ulrich and Wayne Brockbank. How many of you have heard of these professors? Right. They're at the University of Michigan, and they've conducted probably the most extensive, comprehensive, and the most extensive, comprehensive human resources competency survey study. And there have been 6 waves of these studies. The research involved over 20,000 respondents, including human resources professionals and business leaders across 600 organizations around the world, involving professional institutions like the SHRM, National HRD in India, China, Australia, Europe, and of course the SHRM in America. I'm just giving you the background because this was arrived at after 25 years of detailed study. And it involved 360 methodology. HR professionals filled in self-survey questionnaires, invited business leaders to come and challenge them. They had a laundry list of 130 competencies, and business leaders assessed these competencies in terms of impact on business and the ability of HR to deliver on these competencies. Fascinatingly, what they discovered was this set of 6 or 7 competencies applies uniformly across every region in the world, across organizations of all sizes, across every HR role, and across all levels of HR. I think this research is important because it not only specifically because it defines what it takes for an HR professional to be successful. And it's not just about defining the body of knowledge, the theoretical body of knowledge that defines HR as a profession, but more importantly, it talks about how do you apply this body of knowledge for the business challenges ahead. Now, effectively, I met Professor Brockbank, Wayne Brockbank, less than a decade ago. when I attended one of his, it was a week on HR strategy, and that's when I personally got involved in the study, and more for the Middle East. And what eventually came out of this was that we've identified 6 or 7 core competencies that need to be displayed by high-performing HR professionals, or what an HR professional should embody. And you could look at past models, and you can see HR change and transform. To some degree, these competencies are not new. It's probably reshuffling the competency deck. But to some degree, there are some key and distinct changes in these competencies. For instance, 5 years ago, knowledge of technology was embedded in a broader competency, but today, knowledge of technology is key, and it's a standalone competency. Now, to put these competencies in perspective, it's helpful to view it as in a pyramid, in a 3-tier structure. And I will now take you through these competencies one by one. So, what you see are the 6 competencies here. They look probably like Greek and Latin to you, but hopefully not after I'm through explaining each one of these. You're talking about an HR professional who's a credible activist, a strategic architect, an ally of business, somebody who innovates, who executes operationally, and who's a proponent of technology. Let's talk about credible activist. This is at the pinnacle of HR competence. To be a successful HR professional, this is the #1 competence that every business leader around the globe demands of an HR professional. This is at the heart of an effective HR professional. The best HR professionals do not hold back. The best HR professionals, they step up to the plate, they advocate their position. And CEOs today do not want HR professionals merely to come up with options. They want HR professionals to come up with recommendations. They want them to take a stand. They want HR professionals almost to be like a legal executive. They want them to come in from a position of expertise. So that's important. That's what a credible activist means. Now, the important thing is, how do you build credibility? You build credibility by building personal relationships in the organization with key stakeholders. You build credibility by delivering what you promise, right? And you build credibility by impactful communication. Communication is not just meant for marketing professionals. It's meant for HR, equally important for HR professionals. You have to build credibility. And how do you be an activist? An activist is somebody who gets off the fence, who stands up and says, this is the position that I would like to take. And he has a view, not just about HR, but he also takes a view about business, right? So, a credible activist is somebody who can positively influence business. Now, what happens if you have credibility and you're not an activist? Well, you're a nice guy, but nobody listens to you, And what happens if you're an activist, somebody who takes a stand? You might have good ideas, right? But nobody takes you seriously because you have no credibility in the organization. So, if you want to, and this competency, ladies and gentlemen, is a deal breaker. If you want to be successful in your career, you've got the rest of your lives ahead of you, right? Any organization you go, you're not going to be probably working in one organization, but anywhere you go, business expects HR professionals today to be credible activists. Not just credible or merely an activist with great ideas, but you got to have the credibility, you have to take a stand, and you got to drive your point of view. Now we'll come on to the second key competency. Top performing HR professionals need to think and act from outside in. High performing HR professionals today are and need to be deeply knowledgeable about the external business environment. They need to understand business trends, social, economic, demographic trends. And they need to use that information to sit down and anticipate problems, anticipate roadblocks, and come up with solutions. Right? They need to use that they need to take this external knowledge and build and use that for internal decisions. They need to actually co-strategize, use that for making strategic decisions. You're entering a new market. You need to exit a business. You need to look at demographic trends. You need to look at population, the aging of populations. You need to look at political issues. An HR professional today, at least the A-list, the A players, are no longer completely involved internally. You know, they got blinkers on. They have no idea what's happening in the external world. Those days are gone. And the top-notch HR professionals need to be strategy architects. They need to contribute to strategy of an organization, and for that they need to be aware of what's happening in the outside world. To be a business ally, HR professionals need to be business literate. It's sad, but it's true that even the high-performing HR professionals today understand little about business. In fact, the business would actually like you to understand far more. I think the mantra is understanding what are the financial drivers, what are the operational drivers, and I think this remains as important today as 20 years ago. But unfortunately, from what I've seen, HR professionals aren't really there, except a very, very few professionals. Being business literate will enable you to understand an organizational capabilities, will be able to understand what is the culture of the organization, and help you translate this into financial and operational drivers. At the same time, it helps you understand an organization. It could be about customer service, it could be about innovation, it could be about speed, it could be about technology, right? But you need to understand what the business drivers are, what the capabilities of an organization are, and then you need to build individual abilities in your organization. You need to meld these individual abilities with the capability of an organization and impact an organization. So it's so important that you are business literate and you're able to actually understand the nuts and bolts and the inner workings of a business. The next competency: effective HR professionals today know what are the what are the innovations in the business. They know the latest trends relating to human capital, relating to performance and reward, relating to training and development, talent management, organizational design, and communication. But it's not just about knowing the latest innovative practices. It's about being able to build on this theoretical base by actually offering a unified solution to business. You should be in a position to actually understand each of these threads It could be performance and reward, it could be talent management, it could be communication, understanding all these threads, aggregating these threads. That's what it means by aggregation. Putting this together and coming to business with one unified solution. It's not about standalone activities. It's not about saying, oh, there's no teamwork in my department, you know. So, oh, don't worry, we'll fix it. So you pick up the phone, talk to somebody in training and development, and you do a seminar on teamwork, right? Now, that's not a sustainable solution. You're looking for a solution which is sustainable, which is unified, or you say, oh, there's no mobility in my department or in the organization. You know, people are not moving upwards. There are no promotion opportunities. Don't worry, sir, we'll fix it. You go, you just identify the top 10 people or the top 100 people in an organization, and boom, promote all of them. No. How do you address this? You build a career, a ladder, right? Oh, we're not able to hire the best people, you know. Oh, no problem. You know, one-off, you just hire 10, 20 people, go to the campuses, you know. No. You actually build a model for online recruitment. You build an online brand. You know, so it's about innovation, coming to the business with one solution, with a aggregated solution, and say this is one solution which addresses problems. So that's very key. It's aggregated and it's sustainable. The operational, I think the other important thing with innovation and aggregation is when you come with a long-term solution, it's tailor-made for the organization. HR professionals increasingly today fall prey to the flavor of the month. Or they say the flavor of the month is talent management. The flavor of the month is online recruitment. Or they get seduced by what a competitor organization is doing. They're saying this is what the competitors do. So you get, so you know, we need to benchmark ourselves. No. You need to come up with something innovative, designed for your organization and your organization needs. Now, anchoring the base of the pyramid, I think there are two competencies that probably are described as the salt and pepper competencies. These are not, these really are necessary, but not the entire deal. One is obviously operational executor, and two is being a technology proponent. In China today, where HR tends to be at a relatively earlier stage of development, operational efficiency of operational execution is considered the majority, it's considered the most important facet of HR. But in more advanced countries and more advanced organizations, this is important, it's critical, and it tends to, but all the other competencies I spoke to you about helps HR move up the value chain. This is right at the base. However, it is still critical because people still need to be transferred, people still need to be promoted, people still need to be paid on time, right? These are all essential, but they need to be done, and sometimes if you take your eye off these basic issues, it can affect your credibility as an HR professional. Because these may be what I would term nuts and bolts issues, but they are critical. So it's important to be a great operational executor. Now, this is where you can use technology. And in recent years, HR professionals have used technology basically to make administrative issues more streamlined. You know, you've heard of the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your activities contribute to 20% of your impact on results, and 20%. So this could possibly, the admin side could be 80%, but with technology, you get a lot of the background noise out, and you're able to focus on the other aspects that I spoke about. And this is where technology. But apart from technology used at a basic level, technology is also used today increasingly by HR professionals at a more strategic level. It's used to, for instance, to create a social network within the organization, improve employee communication. It helps, it's also used by HR professionals to position or to create organizational identity through social media and networking. For instance, creating a brand, an HR brand in the minds of the outside world. So, these are considered today, and this is after years of research, key competencies that you must have, right, to be successful. We're in a changing world, and personally I think 20% of the HR professionals will never get this. And if they don't change, they will be changed. 20% will get it, they'll be ahead of the game, and the remaining 60%, they'll be at the table, they'll be at the HR, they'll be at the organization table, but depending on how, and hopefully they're moving in the right direction. What was successful 30, 20, even 10 years ago are no longer the competencies which will make you a success in the future years. The world's changing, HR needs to change with it, and this is probably a useful roadmap or a reference guide for success going forward in an uncertain world. So it's just a request. I think you need to reflect on these. You need to debate these with your peers, with your professors, right? And use this and see how best you can leverage this throughout the rest of your careers. Thank you very much.